that relationship. And we could probably do a whole day thing on that. But we're gonna. But in the networking world, there are some things you can do to build that pretty quickly. And part of the model tonight we'll share about that. So let's talk about some things you like about networking. What are some things you like? No one.
There's always food involved.
Maybe wine.
Just meeting out, meeting new people. I like people.
Okay, great. Like meeting new people.
Creating relationships.
Okay, great. Creating some relationships. Bart?
Learning about new businesses.
Learning about new businesses. Great. I saw a hand in the back. Jane and then Kathy. Suzanne.
Finding new strategic partners who can help each other with businesses.
Great.
And learn about their story, learn about how even they got into their business.
That's right. There's some fascinating stories out there, and it's kind of shifting your mindset from selling to learning. Again, that education thing I'm going to talk about in a second. So let's talk about, we talked about what we dislike, we talked about some of the things we like. What are your biggest challenges with networking besides time, which is like...
It's starting a good, deep conversation with someone. You get past the, so what a nice venue and what do you do, and then you're like, well, nice having met you.
Right, so what's the next step? Yeah, and so that is a challenge, and we hope to give you some tools with that tonight. Part of the challenge is that we want to sell them there, we want to give them everything we do, or learn about everything they're doing. It's not the venue for that. You have to almost think of networking events almost like a brochure or a flyer. And with a flyer or brochure, your goal is for someone to create interest that they want to learn more about your company, your services. What we do, we go there and we want to share them everything about what we want to do. And so all person's going, okay, my time's running out. I need to go to the next person. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how to address that in engaging folks. Who else? Challenges.
What to say when you want to get away from that person.
Okay. I'll give you some tips on that. You know, and there's some, you know, I grew up with 10 brothers and 6 sisters, so I've learned some good tips on how to separate conversations. So.
How to proceed from meeting someone to trying to get an appointment to meet with them on a more timely fashion.
Great, so
That's
what's
really
the
hard
follow-up
to-
step?
yeah.
So that's really the next step you have to do. And so one of the steps of the model we'll be talking about is nurturing those people you've met. How do you nurture those relationships? Some other challenges. Jamie and then Jane.
Seeing faces and not remembering names. You know them.
Yes, that's a tough one. And I'll talk about that because I think there's some simple things you can do to make that work. Yeah, and then also sometimes, I don't know about you, I mean, I had clients come up to me who I know their names. And also I'm going, I'm with someone trying to introduce them, going, what's your name? I know them. You know, I mean, and it's just like, you know, so I'll give you some ideas on how to deal with that. June?
Just even if it's supposed to be a brochure or a flyer, I sometimes have a hard time just even doing that. You know, I'm so interested in what they're doing. I'm very good at sort of eliciting information and asking them about their business, and they can go 5 years without ever knowing an attorney.
Right. And sometimes that might be okay, depending on who you're. What I mean by that is sometimes you're giving me energy, Mike. This is good. What I mean by that is that there are some ways to help determine is it appropriate or not. It may not be the setting to do it. And so when we talk about engaging that person in conversation, there might be some subtle ways to make that happen.
I was going to say following up without seeming like you're stalking that person, or it's like weird that you're calling them.
That's right.
Like, oh yeah, I met you at this, and I thought, you know, wanted to follow up with you about that. I'm thinking
That you're stalking.
Weird.
Yeah, and so I think the appropriate follow-up is important. And also most sales folks or business development people, or anyone trying to get business, they usually give up after the first couple tries trying to connect. There has been some studies on sales and follow-up. 7 to 10 contacts. Don't give up. And we'll give you some strategies on how to even do the nurturing and follow-up. So it doesn't seem like you're stalking them or being a pest. Most salespeople, I can tell you, most salespeople give up. They didn't return my call. I emailed them twice, never heard from them. And so we assume they're not interested. So I think it's a mistake. Because they may be really busy, maybe they went out of town, maybe a crisis happened in their business, maybe a crisis happened in their life, maybe they're interested, but it's on a list of 100 things, and so the interest is down here, and so they're just not ready to respond yet. And so we'll give you some strategies around that. Okay, how about one more challenge? One more. One, I know someone else has one. Yes.
Just being consistent and consciously networking on a regular basis.
Yes, what's your name, sir?
Brad.
Brad, that to me is one of the critical things when you're talking about networking. That people go to one or two events, they leave, I didn't get any business from it, and so they don't go anymore. What about building relationships? Relationships don't happen because they see you one or two times. Customers that may want to do business with you and they only see you one or two times, they're going to lump you in the group of the one or two timers that come through groups when business is tough, they see them, and then they never come back. And so consistency, to me, they have to see a consistent presence, 7 to 10 contacts. That could just be seeing you at networking events and getting a familiarity to who you are. Thank you for sharing that.
Can I have one more?
Yes, you sure can, Leonard.
Cold
Hi, Leonard.
handshake, bad. Cold hands, I have cold hands.
Cold hands?
Embarrassing, but yeah, tough one.
So you have cold hands, or you?
I have very cold hands.
Okay.
Warm heart, cold hands.
Okay.
I tell people all the time.
Very tough.
But you know what? You know, we got to remember, add humor to it. Look, I'm sorry, my hands are so cold.
Yep.
What you just said, warm heart, cold hands. Whatever it may be, we all have our things. But that might break it open. Oh, my brother's like that, or my sister's like that, or someone else is like that, and it breaks that ice. Okay? So, we have challenges. We've talked about some of the likes and dislikes. And what we're going to do, we're going to do a quick little exercise that Eric's going to lead us through. And then we're going to, based on that exercise and based on what we just covered, what we're going to do is share, start looking at the